Hello, test, test. Okay. Test, test. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Apologies for that. I was just making sure that our mic was working fine. Right. So I'm only going to be live here for about 45 minutes or so. I'll just do a little bit of pre-market analysis now. And we'll see if the first half an hour presents anything. So, here are some of these drawings from yesterday, actually. Since they are irrelevant. Okay, I'm just removing some of these drawings from yesterday. Okay, so red vehicle highs never got swept. We didn't tap EQ of this range either. So still valid. Okay. Still have this unfilled daily gap above. So it's still kind of neutral, you know, like we haven't rebalanced the daily range. We have an unfilled gap here. We've been choppy, a lot of back and forth. See this tight range here. Afternoon, MCAM. Good to see you again. I'm only going to be live for about 45 minutes, by the way. I've got stuff to do. My kid's got like a Christmas fair on at his school, so gotta go and meet Santa with him. So, you know, we might catch something in the first half hour, maybe not. I've not got high hopes. We're still in this range from yesterday. Haven't broken out of it. We didn't even sweep this high, and we haven't swept this low either. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much else, to be honest. Maybe we sweep some internal range liquidity and that gives us a setup maybe. Got a pretty large new day opening gap here. Gap downwards. There's a lot of engineered buy-side liquidity here just below this daily gap, which makes me think that when we do eventually hit this, it's not going to be it's going to just sweep and maybe head down like straight away. And there's a lot of engineered sell stops, a lot of fuel, I guess. But obviously we're not there yet, so. So here's a rejection block from yesterday that we reacted off of. I believe it was on the 15-minute. It was like 5 minutes something actually. I don't really know. But I'll remove it because it's irrelevant. We never swept Asia low from yesterday either. Left it there. Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we see some a nice Judas swing or something. That'd be nice. Nice clean Judas swing like we got Wednesday. Or was it the day before FOMC? I can't really remember. Okay, so on the 4 hour, I'm not really seeing too much. There's a gap here that's yet to form. There's still 45 minutes left for that to form, so. We can mark out what we can do before the gap forms is you can mark out the wick of the high, and then you can label it as H4 IRB, H4 immediate rebalance. So we know that if we then tap that line, before 10 a.m., which is when the 4-hour candle closes, we know that this is either a 4-hour immediate rebalance or we're just going to continue higher. And if we don't, then obviously we know that we're going to leave that as a 4-hour FEG. So. Okay, so on the hourly, again, not too much. Gap here. Each one gap here. There's a lot of buy side and sell side on both sides of the market, so I don't. It's kind of like a 50-50 shot, which, you know, unless you get something absolutely pristine. It looks like we have equal highs here, so maybe we can come up and sweep those. It looks like they are perfect equal highs, are they? Oh wait, no, they're not. They are relative equal highs, though. It's less than a tick. And obviously there's a H1 gap here. But the fact that, well, I've learned from yesterday, so the fact that this high here has swept this means that this is technically a protected high. But obviously it's a very small sweep, so I don't know how protected it is really. I've never really used protected highs or lows. I've just known that they've always been there in the back of my mind. And obviously yesterday was a prime example of why this sell side liquidity here didn't get swept, because we had one on the hourly. But obviously this is a very obvious protected low. You know, we swept this low and filled the entire gap. Now obviously the entire gap isn't filled here, so I don't know what difference it's going to make, to be honest. I guess if we do come up here, we can watch and learn. I'll label this as like a potential protected high, because I'm not 100% sure. Like I say, I don't know. It is a very small sweep, so potential protected high. Obviously, if we like power through this, immediately rebalance the 4-hour, or like, you know, close above the 1 hour, then we could probably expect it to be ran. But let's draw a range. Not that the range matters, because we've just been dilly-dallying inside of this entire range here for the past couple of days. In fact, when did this range start? Tuesday, basically a whole week. So we might just get a doji candle here on the weekly, to be honest. Something along those lines, like a small candle closure. We've got 9 minutes here till market open. I'm just keep looking to see if there's anything I've missed, and I don't think there is. And we obviously have this big, huge new day opening gap here, so it's a good draw, to be honest. And obviously we have a lot of engineered buy side here, plus the daily, but we've failed to hit this daily FEG and this buy side liquidity from last week, you know, all week. So like, I don't even know if I can rely on this for a buy side draw anymore, you know. This has been a horrible week for holding a runner, I'll tell you that. Oh, let me guess, my TikTok live's been restricted again. Yeah. Dude, why? I've been live for like 5 minutes. What did I do? Your live is not eligible for recommendation and restricted in search results because it contains unoriginal or reproduced content. This is in line with TikTok live section under our community guidelines. What does that mean? How is it reproduced? Hi, I'm from Turkey. Hello from Turkey. I'm from the UK. It's good to see you in here. We are trading NQ futures today. I don't really have a bias. I don't know whether I want to go long or short at the minute. We're going to have to wait and see. I'd like to say long, but like I say, we failed to hit this buy side draw here for a whole week effectively, so I just can't really, you know, put my finger on it. It's kind of a difficult week to trade. I guess this is December for you. I'm not too sure when I'm going to stop trading the December. I don't know whether to call it a day here and then give like the next 2 weeks just a rest, or maybe go for one more week. I don't really know. Given the price action this week, makes me lean towards, you know, just stopping now until January. But we've left a lot of engineered buy and sell side, which we could hear next week. So then again, we could, you know, we might not. It's a weird one. I don't know. Okay, so 15-minute here. We have a 15-minute FEG that we're currently wicking out of. We also tap the 8:30 opening price here as well. My take profit is around 28,300. Do you think it'll reach that level? I can check for you. You bear with me a second. 8,300. I mean, you know, the thing is, the whole week we've been ranging. So if you take a look on the 4-hour here, you see this big old range. It's a good take profit, don't get me wrong. I don't know where your entry was, but I can't tell you because we failed to sweep these highs here. And this is my buy side draw from last week. There's a huge daily imbalance. We failed to sweep it all week. So what's to say it's going to sweep it today? I don't know. You know, my advice, I guess, is just to make sure that you go break even at a sensible point. I don't know what model you trade. I don't know where your entry is. But my bias is neutral here. We have sell side liquidity and we have buy side liquidity. I'd like to be long, but I can't be sure because of the way that the price has been behaving this week, you know. I know it didn't really answer your question, but I hope it helped anyway. Like I say, I can't really give you a definitive answer here. 5 minutes here until this 15-minute candle close. And we could potentially inverse this 15-minute and maybe get a confirmation model. Have to be clean now, so I think it has to be super clean. We did rebalance 50% of both of these ranges here. We're currently in the optimal trade entry. Retracement for this larger range. I don't. Obviously, we haven't rebalanced the end dog at all. It's not been tapped once, and the chances are these do usually get at least tapped during New York AM session, especially when we have one this big. So yeah. Thanks for the reply. Like, yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you. Much appreciated. If you stick around, let me know what you do with your trade. Curious to know. So what I'm seeing here, we have a 15-minute gap that we're currently, you know, dragging on through. We've swept buy side here. Pre-market. We do have, like, this could be the 8:30 manipulation. So we could have expansion here going into 9:30. We would have to wait for a confirmation model, though. I'm not taking a 15-minute IFEG, especially when I don't know the bias. But yeah, I mean, just have to wait and see, really. We've got 3 minutes here until market open. Maybe we get an SMT, which gives us a little bit of clarity or something. There's a small SMT here at the lows, but it's very minor. There's an SMT at the highs. Again, it's quite not very obvious. Also, we are going to inverse this 15-minute. Maybe we look for a scalp rather than trying to hold for a draw on liquidity. That might be the more sensible thing to do. Monster Energy. So we've got 1 minute here until market open. And so we'll just swap some sell side. See if we react off of this. Why does it keep doing that? I don't mind trying this. Don't really have a solid. Okay, I guess I could try this. Give it a second here to see if we end up. See what this candle does here. Yeah, I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to take that one. We have some inefficiencies above, which we could very well tap into. Price could want to rebalance. So we swap sell side liquidity here. There is a H1 I don't love it because we already inversed the 15-minute. We have imbalances just above. Obviously, you could, but you have to go break even pretty quick. So I mean, it's a bit risky, you know. Where are you going to target? Because price has been so choppy, you know. You're going to take just a 1 to 2 maybe. Have an SMT at the highs too. No SMT at the lows, so it's just a bit of a risky one, I guess. Maybe an eval play. This is a 5-minute closure. Okay, so we did hit that. It would definitely have been a break-even trade. He's already quite choppy. I'm not really loving this price action here. This is an M3, by the way. M3. We have an M5 closure here in a second. It is an M5. So, obviously, the first trade, it wasn't that clean. But we do have an M5. So, if we get the M5 closure, we could potentially look for a confirmation. Better to be safe than sorry. Especially in conditions like this, you know. Don't really want to get caught on the wrong side. So this 50-minute IFEG here. Works everywhere, yeah. There's a lot of chop. Like I say, this was a valid M1 setup. I just didn't really love the chop inside of it. You know, I like something nice and clean. This isn't nice and clean. And it would have been a break-even trade anyway. You would have got wicked out right here. You've had to go break even, and it came back down. So not super clean. But like I say, if we get a 5-minute closure, a decent 5-minute closure, potentially come back down, rebalance it, and get maybe a 30-second entry or something. Wouldn't mind that. Okay, so actually we do have S&T at the lows. I was wrong. It's more of a major SMT than this, so. Got a couple of minutes here until the 5-minute closure. And honestly, like, you could probably take this 5-minute closure if we close above this off rip. It's a pretty good setup, honestly. You have a Judas, sweepless low, still reacted off the OTU retracement. Good draw above. But I always look for a confirmation. The stop would be huge as well. I mean, do we have any news today? No, there's no news today. But I mean, still, like, say we closed up here, you'd have that 28-point stop for an IFEG closure entry, sorry, a closure loss, and then obviously your hard stop, you'd have to, you know, maybe you could squeeze it there. So I mean, the risk reward isn't like terrible, but I still don't like having a stop that big. Okay, so 5-minute closes in 30 seconds here. Like I say, this would be a decent entry actually for a 5-minute. I just don't trade it, so that's out of the question for me. No, this isn't a bad setup. See if we close above both of them, that is. Close above? We did close above. So there's your entry if you trade the 5-minute. Go 5 down deeper. Like I say, we got the closure, so we can look for a confirmation if we get it. Move this 15-minute away of the M5 FVG here. This is the 30-second. Draw out fib. This range would do. Have a low here. There's no unfilled inefficiency. There is on the 1-minute. The 1-minute FVG. We're going to come back down and rebound. Fucking hell. Jesus Christ. Yeah, this is what I'm saying about the huge whip. The huge wick if you traded on the 5-minute. Like, what the hell is that? Oh, what's just happened, dude? 21 minutes past, no. 41 minutes past 9. A random wick, you know. What's like, someone just tweeted some shit or something. That's crazy. And that's what you get. I mean, like, to be fair, that's what you get for trying to trade in a range, you know. With this 5-minute of even, now you see, this is what I'm saying, dude. Like, you'd have your stop. Even if you squeezed it down here, you got to stop down. So that's why you always have to have it at the swing low. But holy moly, that is crazy. Holy mother of pearl. Okay, well, I doubt we're gonna get our confirmation entry. We closed below this 1-minute. We did. We got 1-minute IFVG. We inversed the 5, so you can't really take this if we inverse the 5. This is not good PA. This is not good PA. Sorry, this is a pretty bad PA. Really bad PA, actually. There's no clarity. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no, like, there's nothing. You know, we still refuse to sweep these highs. We still refuse to come down and sweep these lows from earlier in the week. We just stay here and range, and this is not good section. So it's probably a good thing that I'm coming off early. Honestly. 30-second. We inverse the 1-minute, so we'd have to then close above this. You know, I mean, it's still a valid confirmation, don't get me wrong, but we'd then have to close above this one. And yeah, we have swept the low. No SMT again. There is SMT at the highs now, though, so SMT keeps flip-flopping. You know, we have SMT on both sides, and it keeps changing. So this is just bad market conditions. Why I always wait for a confirmation. You know, I never trade the 5-minute. Now, I'm not saying this happens every time, because sometimes you can get some nice 5 minutes that don't give a confirmation. But most of the time, if it's going to be a good 5-minute, it's going to come back down, rebalance 50% of the range, which is what I've just marked up here. Tap into a lower time frame gap, and then you get your confirmation of that. And that is that's an S-tier setup. That is really clean, really high probability. Honestly, I could just trade the confirmation entry, and you know, it'd still be profitable. Obviously, the precision entries are good too. it's harder to get a clean confirmation confirmation entry than it is a precision entry. Like I say, this was a valid precision entry here, but it was just super like choppy. You know, it wasn't clean. We closed below the IFEG and then closed back above it. You know, you never try the same idea twice. Something I learned from getting shafted constantly. I'd get stopped out, or I'd close a trade and then I'd re-enter because it closed back above, and then I'd just get like wicked out or something. And you know, trial and error, I guess. And I'm hoping that by live streaming and showing people how I trade, that they don't make the same mistakes I did for like 4 years straight. Never drink Monster, but this is good. Really good. I try and avoid like sugary drinks and stuff. I don't get much exercise because busy dad, and I try and obviously I trade for 2-3 hours a day, and I used to go to the gym in the mornings. I went for a little while, but it was just like my kids just keep me up all night and refuse to go to sleep, and then trying to get up in the morning like super early to go to the gym, or I then have to take him to school, and then I've got my 2-year-old as well. He's constantly just ravaging me, you know, and obviously my wife's pregnant as well, so he needs looking after. But yeah, at least I try and supplement it by not eating unhealthy or drinking unhealthy. But I think a little bit of Monster every once in a while. I've had a bad night's sleep isn't gonna hurt. Oh, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, this is pretty awful. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna give it until obviously I've got to come off around 3 UK time, which is 10 New York time. So maybe we get like a quick scalp at 10 a.m. But there's nothing clean here for me. And you see, we have an SMT, and then we just gun straight for the low again. So this SMT wasn't high probability, but at the time you don't know that. The only thing that indicates to you that something's not high probability is the price action that follows it. And the price action that followed this SMT was a choppy IFEG entry, which we didn't take, and then just, you know, pretty bad price action. Nothing clean. Multiple inversions on different time frames in opposite directions. You know, it was 5 minute, and then we just came straight back down. So we had the 15-minute inversion short too, which if you traded the 15-minute, this would be valid, and you wouldn't have got stopped out because you would have done stop at the high, but you would have been, you know, you'd be shitting yourself basically, and you probably would have had some, you know, some psychological devil angel kind of speak. You know, do I close? Do I not close? Because you'd probably go on the lower time frame, see the 5-minute inversion, and be like, shit, I need to close. So again, it's another reason why I don't trade 5 or the 15-minute. Just stick to a lower time frame. People say the lower time frame is less probable. Yeah, it is, but when you know the context, it makes it way more probable, and you can get better precision entries. You have to have such wide stops, and you miss out on BS like this. You know, 15-minute inversion, 5-minute inversion. You know, we had inversion here on the M3 too, the M4. Every time frame had an inversion on the opposite direction, which way we just went. But yes, it would have been break even, I guess. Would the 5-minute have been break even, or did it inverse? Now, you see, you would have had to wait for an entire candle closure before going break even. So you wouldn't have even gone break even here on this 5 minute. You would have just got closed out. Any other time frames? No. You know, and obviously you could have been looking for a confirmation and short to 15 IPG, but are you really going to try and take a short like this? I mean, it didn't even close until this, so it would have been valid anyway. This isn't a valid entry, but would you have tried and take a short like this once you've already had an M5 IPG in the opposite direction? No. Why would you, you know? Obviously invalid anyway. We spread the low before we got the entry. So any other lows here that we could potentially get a reaction? Just this, you know. I don't really see why you wouldn't just gun for these lows, but I've said that for the whole week, and we've just ranged. And this is still a protected low, you know. I think the protected low only really works out once we've swept liquidity in the opposite direction, which we did. We swept liquidity in the opposite direction. We also rebalanced to stage one. So I think that kind of discredits it as a protected low. I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. But from what I've seen, that seems to be the case. I go on ICT index and just look that up, just to double check. We have a gap here across multiple time frames. The S&T is obviously not valid anymore. There's a 2 minute, a 3 minute, 4 minute. The 4 minute is obviously the highest time frame here, so this is the one that we'd mark up. And for FEG right here, are we reacting off of anything? Not on the 15. M5 BPR from yesterday. You have some engineered sell side just below it though, so the 4 minute is the highest gap that we have here. There's no 5 minute one. We're reacting off an M5 BPR from yesterday, but there is some engineered sell side liquidity below it, so it's not that high a probability of a reaction, considering we are still bearish. A bearish order flow here. Like I say, we are ranging, so this could very well, reverse and maybe come sweep this high or something. Get rid of some of these drawings, clogging up the screen a little bit. We also have this on the M4 as well. Another M4 gap. Still not on the 5 minute, and it's not on the 3 minute. And the only one on the 1 minute is up here. So what I'm thinking, maybe, obviously we need to look for a confirmation here, right? So what I'm thinking is we might get, since there is no other gap here, it's only on the M4, what we might be able to do here is zoom in a little bit if we get this M4 closure. And we might get a retracement with maybe a 30-second or something. Like I say, we do have a good draw on liquidity higher. The sell side, what we're reacting off isn't great. M5 BPR from yesterday, but we have swept sell side here. So, it's valid. It's valid. We have SMT. No SMT. No, there's no SMT here. Okay. Let's see. We gotta be careful because it looks like we just rebalanced this range too. Yeah, we did. Obviously, you can't enter this M4 long here because you've got this gap here. We could very well just reverse off of that. So you can't enter this raw. Have to now wait for a potential confirmation. So we either react off this M4 and just keep going, or we might come rebalance this EQ and then get a 30-second or a 1-minute entry. But this is now an M4 IFEG. And obviously, if we do get a 30-second or a 1-minute entry here, then it stops at the next intermediate term high, which in this case currently is here. Or we might get another one, something. Okay, so we have just tapped into an M1. I do want to see EQ here. I don't really like it when we don't rebalance EQ. Actually, wait, no, EQ is here. So we have tapped EQ actually, which would make this a valid confirmation entry if we don't already take out this high. If we do, then it's not good. Obviously, if you close back below the IFEG, we could break even here at this high. I'm just going to target this high. Alright, I'm in there. Valid 30-second confirmation. If we start dilly-dallying, I am going to close too. This is our break-even point. I only went light on this one, by the way. I didn't go heavy because obviously I've downsized massively for December, especially with this price action. This price action's awful. So, okay, we closed by below. So you got to close the trade. You see what I mean with this? This PA, it's just not good. And it was a valid confirmation, but we closed back below multiple IFEGs here. So, I couldn't really. Yeah, I mean, it was valid, and it was a good loss. It was just bad PA, bad context, and we knew that. So, well, I downsized, and yeah, it is what it is. Now, the mistake that I would sometimes make is if we close back above this, I'd re-enter. This trade could very well go and hit TP right now, and it is what it is. I just have to deal with it. So, you close. If we close back below the IFEG, then you have to close the trade because we most likely will head lower. But just indicates bad price action, and obviously there was no 1 minute either. Wick City on the 1 minute here, so just ranging now. So yeah, I think I'm gonna call it there. I need to head out anyway. I literally took a $50 loss on that, so really don't care too much. I literally went 2 micros, just because of the context, and yeah, I mean, good loss. But yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Bro, look at this, dude. Inside this IFEG, just wham, 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 wham. Well, if you see what I'm saying, like if you took this 4-minute closure, you know, yeah, you might still be in this trade, but actually, no, you wouldn't, because you'd have gone broke. You would have gone break even one candle after we hit this, so no, you wouldn't. But your stop would be all the way down here, dude. And where can you target? Because considering we're ranging so tight, H1 high maybe. You know, look at that. The huge stop. But then you zoom in, and on the 30-second, that stop was tiny. You know? Just keeps the losses minuscule. If you look at the comparison here, now we closed right here, like right on this close. This was the smallest possible loss we could have taken on this trade. And look how big the stop loss could have been. You know what I mean? Do you see what I mean here, MCAM? I think you are sitting in the stream. But yeah, we just minimized our losses, and that is way more important than trying to like catch a big move, you know. Yeah, the risk to reward here was pretty big, a 1 to 5. But if you'd have gone the M4, if you'd have taken the M4 setup, it would have been a 1 to 1.3 or something. So yeah, just bad PA here. So right, yeah, I'm gonna head off. Yeah, it's crazy. Now, if I were you, MCAM, I'd probably head off too. It doesn't look like it's gonna get much better, or at least wait until we take, you know, a major sell side liquidity pull here. Maybe this low here, or at least these. But make sure it's clean. If you're trading the IFEG model, make sure it's a clean singular IFEG. Confirmation works too, but obviously I've just given you a clean example of a confirmation here that was a loss because of PA. So yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, I would too, man. All right, well, I'm gonna head off anyway. Yeah, I might be on Monday, I might not, I don't know. I'll see how. I'll do a review on price action later and see how we were throughout the day. If it did this all day, then I might give it a miss. But yeah. All right, man. Well, hopefully either I'll see you on Monday or January it is.